Wewakai. I think I said it right. I hope I said it right. Thank you for having us at, on the lands of your people and putting up with our uninvited presence. I think this is something that is not said enough. My name is Morgane. Oger. I'm a human rights activist. I specialize in trans rights and in LGBT issues, especially SOGI issues, which I think is a hot button topic in this neighborhood, and it has been for a while. And when I talk about justice and human rights, I'm mindful of the fact that, Canada has a long history of ignoring the human rights of the people who were here in the first place. They were on Turtle Island before we were here. And we have a great deal of apologizing for, and calling what happened here a genocide is a good first step, and we need to actually go to action now. And I think, I call on you all to not forget that there are other communities than ours, the LGBTQ2+ community, that are looking for justice, and we're all in the same boat, and we're all paddling in the same direction. So Stonewall was 50 years ago, and it was a riot, as we know, and I'm so glad to see that in Campbell River, North Island Pride doesn't have to be a riot. It can be a family-friendly gathering with LGBT community members from the whole island, especially the north. Myself, I'm from Vancouver. Vancouver Pride Parade is an enormous corporate event, and it's so refreshing to see something that is about people rather than about profits and large corporations. So thank you for keeping it real. That's a very good thing. And I don't know if there's police here, but if there is police here, thank you so much for not being in uniform. I really appreciate that. I rely on police protection routinely. I have, unfortunately, the honor of being of sufficiently public profile that death threats come and people try to harm me or threaten to. And I have this love and hate relationship with our police. And on the one hand, there are wonderful, dedicated people looking after our safety, including my safety personally. On the other hand, my community is afraid of them. And the last time a police officer attacked a transgender person in Vancouver was in 2018. And of course this never gets resolved, and it always gets washed away, and this is an awful thing. We still have a lot to do, even though we're very grateful for all of the work that's been done since Stonewall, all the great things that have happened. The first gay politician, I think it was Harvey Milk, the first activists, the first gay politician to survive their career end to end. I'm a real fan of that milestone. But we also have to keep our communities accountable. There's still a lot to be done. There are still too many people out there that try to use disinformation and try to tell us that we don't have a place in the sun next to them or their children, that our children should not be treated the same way as their children. Luckily, there are very few people who do that, but boy, are they loud. And boy, are they loud here as well. It's to my chagrin that I've learned that the Canadian Christian lobby is based in Campbell River, this thorn in the side of the LGBT community, who clothes itself in religion as if it was a free pass to discriminate or to incite hatred against others. And I'm here partly with a message, and the message is there is no place in Canada where you get to wrap yourself in your beliefs, whether they're religious or whether they're based on science or any other misrepresentation. There is no place in Canada where you can use those claims to justify discrimination on prohibited grounds or hatred against anybody at all, including the people in this community here that's celebrating today at Pride. And if anybody is unsure of this, I recommend you look up the Human Rights Tribunal results, Oger v. Watcott, and read the details about what it costs to be a bigot in Canada in 2019. It costs over $50,000 every time you get caught for it. And I think that is a huge win for everybody who has problems with people telling them they shouldn't be here, they have no place here, because the reality is it's entirely different. There is no institution in our country or our province or in our cities. There is no organization. There is no charity that will get away with discriminating on prohibited grounds. And that includes today, and has included for years, discrimination on sexual orientation, discrimination on gender identity or expression, discrimination on Indigenous status, discrimination on all of the other explicitly prohibited grounds of discrimination in Canada. And I think this is very important for us to celebrate. We have come a long way since Stonewall. Stonewall was a riot, but today we don't need a riot because we have the laws, we have the systems, and we have the police actually looking after our communities. But of course, there are always going to be problems. I unfortunately spend an awful lot of my time at the BC Human Rights Tribunal and at the Canadian Human Rights LGBT persons, specifically trans youth and trans adults, advocating at their side and trying to explain to a miscreant organization or individual what the law really says. And I'm very proud to say and very happy to say that in all the time I've been doing this since 2013, a transgender person has never lost a discrimination claim in British Columbia or in Canada that I know of on valid grounds. Not once, 0 times. And the joke I tell the kids who come to me telling me that their school has allowed discrimination or that hatred has been tolerated, I joke to them to say, you know what, if they don't act, they can just pay the bigot tax. It's really expensive, and it'll pay for your education, so it's okay. And that kind of lifts them up, and I think this is very important. I'm looking for my time check here, because I could just keep talking and talking. Keep going. 2 minutes. Okay, 10. Okay, I still don't know. Anyhow, I'm going to keep on going on all my notes. So I'm going to list the successes we've had. So not a lot of people know what I do. I founded an organization called the Morgane Oger Foundation, and I'm also very active in politics, but we don't talk about politics here. The Morgane Oger Foundation works to narrow the gap between our human rights laws and the reality on the ground that marginalized communities face. For example, people that benefit from soci education. And I'm very happy to say that the House Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights published a report on online hate 3 days ago that took in our recommendations and recommended changes to our laws when it comes to hatred online to bring consequences to hateful online trolls and to the organizations that host them to make sure that we get back to civil discourse. And I very much look forward to seeing the next government that comes into power, whatever that is, to seeing that government actually act on these recommendations. And I will do everything in my power to be there to help them along. So here are some facts I wanted to share really quickly, because I'm going to be told when I have 1 minute. That's not clear to me yet. So, as we know, discrimination on any prohibited grounds is against the law in Canada. That means that if anybody refuses to serve you or to give you a job, or if you get harassed at work because of who you are, you can take that to the authorities and you will win every single time, unless it's just like in passing. But if there's an actual consequence to their actions, you will have the grounds to complain. The Infant Act is a wonderful piece of legislation that was put into BC law some years ago to help people who needed to access birth control or abortions to do it without parental permission, or to allow people who needed vaccinations but their parents didn't want it. And a wonderful news, of course, is the Indian Act says that medical care is available without accessing parental permission, no matter what the medical care is that you need. So if you're a trans youth and one of your parents says you can't access medical care because they don't want to believe it, you don't actually need their permission if you're deemed mature enough. If your caregiver deems that you're mature enough to make that decision, that's your own decision. That's because transgender care is health care. That's just how it is in Canada. Nobody gets to deny you health care in Canada because of who you are, whether it's because you're Indigenous or because you're racialized or because you are gay or transgender or two-spirit, or for any of the reasons that have been outlined before. Discrimination on prohibited grounds is what? It's against the law. Let's say that one more time. Discrimination on prohibited grounds is against the law. Okay, now yell it. discrimination on prohibited grounds is against the law in all of Canada. Thank you very much. I'm Morgane Oger. Happy Pride, everybody, and thank you so much for inviting me here today.